You are listening to 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Broadcasting from the Dundrum Town Centre, this is Dublin South FM.
And I would, without delaying too much, I would play Sharad Awasthi's brilliant work, because he really has put together an amazing kind of information about what's happening globally in a commercial world, and particularly the companies who are based in Switzerland, based in America and India as well, targeting the public 1.5 billion people of India.
Thank you, Mr. Zaidi. Good to be here. Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our yet another segment where we explore the fundamentals underlying forces that's shaping India and lives of Indians. Today, we confront a pressing question. What's the greatest threat to India? Is it Pakistan, China, or perhaps something else entirely different? To unravel this question, we will try to find something common between these entities. So carefully examine what's common in FDA of United States, Patanjali of India, Nestle Cerelac of Switzerland, and Everest MDH Masales in Singapore. These seemingly disparate entities share a common thread, and they all underscore their impact on Indian society. So how is it? Let's scan each of them. Patanjali, the renowned Ayurvedic medicines company, boasts a staggering reach that extends to millions of households across India. According to the recent survey, more than 70% of Indian households, they have at least one Patanjali product with them. And this widespread adoption underscores the Patanjali brand's influence in shaping consumer behavior and health choices. Patanjali is a revolution. Yet, amidst this widespread trust and alarmingly fantastic statistics, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Patanjali faced blame for misleading advertising practices. Reports indicate that widespread Indians, they expressed concern about the efficacy and safety of Patanjali's COVID-19 remedies. And they highlighted the potential harm that caused by deceptive marketing and putting lives at risk. Consequently, the law took its own course, and after the intervention of Supreme Court of India, 14 products of this grand Patanjali brand were banned, and due apology is sought from the founder and the owner of Patanjali. So it's no less than falling from grace. So the question is, when Patanjali, the founders and the management, was doing this risky business, they were doing it deliberately. They knew that they are going to harm and risk lives of millions of their followers who had faith in their system. So why did they do it? And importantly, the followers happened to be mostly Indians. Similarly, household spice brands like Everest and MDH, they hold a dominant position in the Indian market. And according to the industry reports, these brands collectively control more than 80% of the spice market in India. And they have fallen from grace again, with recent findings of high levels of carcinogenic substance in their products, and that has raised serious, significant alarms. So it is estimated that again 80% of Indian households regularly consume these spices, and therefore anything substantial found in these products have widespread implications. Again, these are Indian brands founded by Indians and mostly used by Indians. Then let's not forget the Nestle baby food scandal that rocked our recent times. Nestle, a Swiss multinational corporation, they have been in this controversy of baby food since 1977 for the first time, where they faced a severe backlash for its aggressive marketing of infant formulas in underdeveloped countries. And this company has a history of baby food controversies since then. And there was a boycott launched against Nestle, and it expanded globally with concerns that the company's unethical practices was resonating across borders. They were aggressively trying to replace breast milk across the world, and especially underdeveloped countries where the awareness was low. Here in India, what has been discovered is that in baby food, Nestle has 7.1 grams of added sugar, which is about 2 sugar cubes per 100 grams of feed. Again, it is surprising that no added sugar happens to be in the same products when they are sold in Europe and the United States. The problem with the added sugar is that children like the food, and they have a preference for this food, and they are very likely to develop obesity and diabetes as time passes. In a way, the Nestle food is harmful to the children of the country. In India, when this scandal is exposed, we know that this is a Swiss company, but then the management and the chairman is run by the Indians. And over the time, they have prioritized profit over Indian public health. On one hand, when the Nestle baby food has high level of added sugar, which may and will induce diabetes. Conversely, the FDA of the United States that wields significant influence over global food and pharmaceutical drug regulation. So, according to the report, the FDA oversees approximately 20% of the total consumer expenditure on food and drugs worldwide. However, over a period of time, there have been serious concern about FDA's impartiality. A glaring example, which is fundamental to the working of FDA, is that 70% of FDA's funding comes from the user fees, which is paid by the industry. And it raises serious conflict of interest questions. It raises questions about FDA's regulatory independence. While FDA regulates pharmaceutical drugs, foods, veterinary products, surgical products, lasers, cosmetics, it very conveniently does not get involved with the coating that comes over the utensils. This means that FDA does not review the Teflon coating on the non-stick utensils. That is a dangerous thing which continues to happen with the lives across the globe. Teflon contains something called everlasting chemical called C8 and is supposed to affect harmfully the nerves, the liver, and is clearly categorized as carcinogenic. Studies show that nearly all people, regardless of age, have some form of C8 in their blood. Hence, it's called forever chemical because it doesn't leave the body. While the Teflon is said to be water resistant and heat resistant, and FDA does not review the utensils, what is not studied is the effect of Teflon and its effect on the body, how it infuses into the bloodstream after continuous use of the non-stick utensils. We can only make a good guess why FDA is not getting into the review of Teflon. That's because it is made by a company called DuPont, whose annual worldwide revenue just out of Teflon is about $29 billion. So that's about 2.5 lakh crore Indian rupees. While we trust FDA as a stamp of authenticity, there have been of late serious issue of large-scale opioid addiction via the prescription drugs in America. Also important to know here is that FDA on its own do not conduct any test on the products. Rather, they are only the approvers of the test that is being done by the manufacturers. So there are serious flaws in the way FDA operates. There are fundamental fallacies in which the FDA operates. Still, an FDA stamp is considered to be a source of approval, a source of trust and authenticity on the products. In contrast, Indian food safety regulators have struggled to maintain the rightful oversight of this evolving landscape of food safety. And that is clearly visible with the scandals of Nestle, Patanjali, Everest and MDH. So we have a very lethal mix of situation here. It's a mix of Indians cheating Indians for an Indian brand, an Indian cheating Indian for a foreign brand, Indians believing a foreign brand rather its own regulators, even though the foreign regulator has serious conflict of interest. With this lethal mix, how many people are affected altogether? Nothing less than billion Indians. All these companies and organizations that we spoke, the recent scandals, they are a reflection of how India interacts, how Indians accept, use, welcomes, corrupts, rejects things and ideas from within India and from outside India. So with that, I come to my question where we started. It becomes evident that the real enemy lies not in the external threat of Pakistan or China, but in the systemic failure and the misplaced trust. Whether it's the exploitation of consumer loyalty by domestic brands, or the regulatory lapse of international authorities, or the unethical practices of multinational corporations dumping things into India, considering it as a dustbin, an experimental ground. Hence, dear friends, I urge you to reflect on these sobering realities that have come into light of late and consider the role we, each of us, are playing in shaping the future of our nation. So we come to the end of this segment. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and your feedback and insights are valuable, and so please continue to let them flow in. And until we meet next time, let us remain vigilant in our pursuit for truth and justice.
But I do have a lot of reaction actually from the Sharad Awasthi's comment, and indeed the brilliant clip that has been what I deduced from his talk and from his research is that Indians have no respect for Indians when it comes to unscrupulous making money. And particularly Indians abroad, Switzerland and America and all that, working for international companies, looking for the market, to exploit their products. This is a frightening thing. But how can they do it to their own Indians? So therefore, the threat is internal.